Of course, there will not be, because Kenyans are more woke today. But so we need to have the conversation. Why are we here, and how do we get out of this space and sanitize our political discourse moving forward? In the next 65 weeks, we are going to vote.
I will tell you this,
right,
without fear of any contradiction. This is not a one-man show.
Yes.
And it is not one sector show, that it is only politicians who are doing that or who are doing this. Look at our musicians. When they're entering the podium or the stage, how do they come?
But they don't beat people.
No. We witnessed something here sometime when Diamond was here and what is his name? Will something? There was a commercial. You know, we follow these things.
Okay.
We don't attend. We look at our behaviors. And I can tell you this. If we want this thing to end, it will not happen from the people who are doing it. It is from the people who are sponsoring these activities. And number one, let me tell you, there is something also very bad in this country. When you don't align yourself with the so-called kingpin from your area, now we are talking politics, and I'm a master there. And when the kingpin says, this person is betraying our community, do you know now you have become an enemy of that community? So whenever there is a meeting involving that kingpin and you try to go to that meeting, the community will teach you a lesson. Why? Because our leader said this is a betrayer. We are not given freedom of expression and freedom of association as it is in the Constitution.
Yeah.
You have had several leaders cascading the leaders, elected leaders from their area, that you went to meet with the government, you went to do this, so you betrayed the nation. And this is a leader who has been elected by people to work for the people.
One asks the question then, we look at how the political class moves, as well as Kenyans who allow themselves to be used to be goons, right? And I want to look at what would be the cause of that.
Right.
Poverty has been weaponized.
Right.
To be used at the behest of the political class or those who think they have power and the money to do that. Because even when the political class comes to your burial or your funeral, they come there because this is my area. There's nothing you'll tell me about it. I am the member of parliament here. I have the money and I have the goons, right? So how I ask the question then, have we intentionally made the mwananchi poor so that we can use them the way we want? Because if we take the China route where we say every day we're having a new millionaire, there is no millionaire who will come listen to you and allow themselves to be used by you, because they have something that is happening for them. So have we weaponized poverty to a point where we're taking advantage of those that we have disenfranchised to take advantage?
No, thanks, guys. And now let me bring the institution, and you guys can do a quick check. And I need to now discuss with Honorable Mutambu here on the basis of scientific study. Not just whatever. I did a series of work. They're available online. Unfortunately, it was not funded by the government of Kenya, and this is published on violence in this country. So if you just check quickly later on, maybe on tipping point of urban violence in Kenya, you'll find series of papers on that. We did this as a collaborative study when I was at University of Nairobi with University of Manchester, funded by the UK government, and we did series of work and papers that basically unlock violence, understanding of violence and conflict in Kenya from pre-colonial times to date. And we categorize the nature of violence and conflict from land issues to religious issues, conflicts that are there, all the way to even the domestic ones that you have, and economic ones from poverty and stuff like that. And one thing that when we're framing it, one of the things that is very clear is that it's abnormal to have any society with no conflicts. So conflicts will always be there. And basically, society has mechanisms of dealing with conflicts, from those village headmen all the way to maximum security prisons and executions. Societies do have, and the entire legal system and so on. So what was the issue for us? The issue was that every so often, violence in Kenya becomes epidemic. Let me use that terminology. You know, a disease can be managed and controlled with a normal health system that we normally have, but an epidemic cannot be. It requires special measures.
Yes.
So the issue is that every so often, violence and conflict in Kenya becomes epidemic. It reaches these scales and proportions that threaten the existence of society as it actually were. One of the things that we checked quite systematically from colonial times to date, when violence became epidemic in this country, what was the trigger? What was the cause? Who tipped it? In all our analysis, it was tipped by politicians.
Politicians.
From colonial times to date, it was politicians' government. Yeah, so whether religious, whether land conflicts, whether racial conflicts, whether ethnic conflicts and so on, when they reached that scale where they could not be controlled, it was always politicians, politics, and government. They're the ones who pick up clan fights, and it becomes epidemic, and people start killing each other. Now we have Kambas and Somalis there. If you start and look at that critically, you'll see the hand of a politician. We are the post-election violence. We're talking about. So, in fact, for me, we need to be worried because Mwesh is saying, and correctly so, that we have these challenges in many African countries. But the thing is that in many instances they're not epidemic. Even in Kenya, our worry is that you saw Mungiki when Mungiki flipped over and threatened the country. We saw the 2008 and so on. So I think it is really very stupid of us, given that we have the evidence, to assume that Kenya, for some reason, is immune from violence becoming epidemic. We are not. In fact, it can become epidemic even now, really.
But what is it that fuels the notion that it is violence